Jacob, I'm going to come to you on this one. Take as long as you want with this question. This one comes from Warren Orange 22. What impact do you predict the hiatus will have on the leagues? And I will also add the online format into that as sort of a follow-up question there.
I'm really concerned, right? Because I think the online play versus in-person play continually changes things. Probably the game that we have seen this most data on is when you look at Counter-Strike and when you see what an online competition does versus an in-person competition, right? Online competitions are often discarded in terms of people's professionals' analysis, because like it's just such a different format, right? Being in the comfort of your own home makes certain teams better because there's stage nerves and all the other things that come with playing in person. And I think that when you look at some of the teams across various different parts of the world, there are some teams that I think will benefit significantly by no longer having to play on stage. I mean, one that comes to mind, right, is Dignitas. I think that Dignitas, although they were quite hot at the beginning of the LCS season, I think that they could benefit from being more in a home environment because some of those players haven't had a ton of stage experience, particularly notably Johnson. If Liquid uses tactical, I could see that being similar in case, right? But there are teams all around the world that have this or have younger players that have not had as much experience or in person as they have online. You know, we hear about solo queue gods all the time, and the reason that we hear about people who are solo queue gods and then never perform on stage is because there are factors that come out of play. And I think that some of these people that we regard to as solo queue gods or people that we hear as scrim gods, that I think that those people become instantly better in an online format. You know, my biggest concern, I think, and this is going to be something I want to hear how Riot does, and I saw Slasher reporting this yesterday, is thinking about necessarily how that they're going to ensure fair play across all of the leagues, right? Is that the LCS is something that they're toying around with now among their owners, is how can we send referees safely to team houses? I don't know if you can do that. I had a conversation today with Craig Levine, who's the head of ESL North America, and they aren't going to do that for the ESL Pro League and Counter-Strike because the ESEA client has actually really strong anti-cheat built into it. But the League of Legends client doesn't necessarily have the same thing, and ensuring that there's a digital footprint there that basically says you are the player sitting down at your desk and playing the game. And I think that a lot of these teams are responsible because 3 of the 4 major leagues are franchised, and there are significant repercussions if you were to use a ringer. But we certainly saw in the past, in a previous era, where there were a lot of ringers in online situations, then people were suspended or fined or banned for that. And it's certainly something that I think is of a concern that Riot needs to figure out of how to do. But I think that there are a lot of questions that come into online play that do not exist offline.
Yeah. The referee thing is pretty big, especially since LEC said that they will definitively not be sending referees, and the LPL, as far as I know, does. They had announced that they did. They were going to safely send referees to every team house.
Let's just assume. I mean, obviously, we can't assume it at all times, but for the purpose of this conversation, let's just assume that it will be a level playing field and everyone will be playing by the rules, just for the purpose of this next question. So obviously there are some players that perform better, like you mentioned, in solo queue or even in scrims, and some players perform better on stage, on LAN, right? So what I wonder is, how will teams approach scrims differently, if at all? Now that they're scrimming against teams they will possibly play, will they choose teams differently they scrim against? Will they try and change strategies? Because basically a scrim is like a completely simulated league game now. So, Tyler, do you think any of the scrim strategies will change?
I don't think we're going to see much different strategies, especially since we were so deep in the season, right? We only have 2 weeks left of the regular season. We're really cutting it close here. So I don't think we're going to see any differences. If this was elongated into the summer, let's say worst case scenario, people in America still go out to bars and ruin everything, and the outbreak becomes worse, and we have to elongate the online play in NA, then yeah, I think you might see some differences. But for the spring split, I think we're gonna be fine. I think most of the results should go as we expect them, and I think the playoffs are going to be very interesting. So
I also think that you need look no further than even the online charity tournaments they've been having, because like I was teasing teams about this, but like, come on, like you can throw, you can do some random stuff, like even if you're just a team that they got together, the old TSM team, and there were only like 6 kills in like 13 minutes or something. I'm making that up, but like it was a significant shortage of early kills. And what I expect from scrims is teams to play like super super fast and loose and try out different things. So if they're doing that in like a online like tournament that doesn't mean anything, I think that we will see pretty standard North American League of Legends, despite the fact that it's also going to be online.
Two things I want to mention. You mentioned kills there. LOL Esports stats on Twitter said 20 hours ago during the Wash Your Hands tournament, the most kills in a single LCS game is 69. This Wash Your Hands
Nice.
match, and that was in the tweet. I left it out, but you filled it in, Emily. Thank you. This Wash Your Hands match hit that mark a while ago.
Nice.
So exactly, yes.
At least they're creeping up. Because the early games I saw were not inspiring in terms of like seeing teams actually like let go, play fast and loose, try out different things. I mean, C9 is kind of already there, so we'll probably see some different looks for them continue.
Rebby in the chat says CLG will win the LCS online because they win every single scrim, so it's GG. See, that's what I was wondering. I guess like some teams will just play better online and they're just going to have a better outcome as a result because they're more used to playing online and they just dominate scrims, and now scrims are big games, and
Like that could happen. I mean, I
It
don't
could.
think CLG is not going to win LCS, but I definitely think the scrim god teams that are rumored, right? There's always these scrim, like a Damwon, right? Like Damwon last year at Worlds, like me and Emily were both there. I mean, we could both attest that everyone was like, "Oh, Damwon and scrims, they were unbeatable. They play so fast, they play so reckless. No one can touch them in scrims." But on stage, they played a lot more nervy. They didn't take the same risk they took in scrims, and that hurt them. And G2 were like, "Oh man, we are so lucky that scrim god Damwon didn't show up." So for Damwon, this could actually be a big boon for them, right? Like where they go now into this world where they can play online, they can play reckless, they don't feel the need to the tension of playing in a live match. I think for a team like Damwon, then yes, I think this going to the online world could benefit them a lot because Scrim Damwon is legendary. They were titans. They were the best team ever when you were talking to teams last year at Worlds. They were unbeatable.
Is Scrim Golden Glue legendary? Because there's a comment in the chat from Golden 11535. Okay, Golden Glue's true time to shine. I thought that was a Golden Glue burner account, but I guess this is true.
No, he's actually a scrim
No,
god.
actually, yeah. Like people say that Golden Glue is like insane, actually insane in scrims.